10 consoles. Top 10 consoles. Ooh, nah, there's only one for me, and that's Hello and welcome back, guys and girls, to another edition of Double Jump Gaming. I am Will, and here we are again. Trying to keep things a little bit short. I'm not going to keep this video as long as my last one, I promise you. I did go on quite a bit, so try and keep things short and sweet today. So just going to throw out and keep rolling with the top 10s, I think. I've got all of them. I've got loads, so yeah. We'll keep going with these. If I'm boring you, tell me. I do have other ideas, I promise you. I just want to kind of get, for want of a better word, get my feelers out to see what you guys like, what you guys want to see. If you want to see more of my likes, if not, that's fine. You know, we can move on to other things. We can stick to certain topics and genres. I'm all about that as well. But just so you guys get to know a little bit more about me, my gaming past, that kind of thing. So once again, I will try and chuck some images, some video into this as well. But once again, things are limited from my end. Things will improve in time, absolutely. But at the moment, we're going cheap and cheerful. Simplistic is the way forward. And this channel, you know, it will only grow. It will only grow with you guys, with your help and support, which is greatly much appreciated. So yeah. Try not to cry. Anyway, so top 10, here we go. So today, what we are going to do, top 10 wise, is top 10 consoles. So, yeah, let's do it. So, top 10 consoles. This is a tough one, and I'm probably going to go over this at some point, a revised look at this, because there's so many. When I kind of thought of this ages ago, and I was like, 10 consoles are fine. 10 consoles, fire them off kind of thing. Nah, there's loads. There's so many. There is so many. It was really tough. It's really tough. So as I say, I'll probably review this at some point and go back. Now this is as in order as I could possibly do it. There's probably a few things I would change here or there, but this is as close as I could get, if I'm being brutally honest. I am sure there will be a lot of you that will disagree with me, and I will mention at this early stage, there isn't a single Microsoft console in this. Now I know I've mentioned before that one of my top games of all time is actually Halo, so I'm kind of, yeah, I know, but yeah, as a console, you know, I'm saying everything, that the hardware, the software, things at the time, you know, how the consoles fared. I'm trying to sort of go over everything in my mind as to what I deem as a console that would be in a top 10. And for me, although the Xbox, when it came out, the power of it blew my mind, I didn't own one for many years, many years, so it's just not there. It's just not there. So apologies. So, but we'll carry on. Let's go. So the number 10, rocking up at number 10, is the Dreamcast. Yeah, had to be in there. Once again, I didn't own a Dreamcast till probably about a year or two after they came out, maybe even a little bit later than that, and then it broke, as they do, but I've got one now that I've had for quite some time. I just love the Dreamcast. I love the little box, I love the startup, I love the controller. I know it's an awful little thing if you look at it now, it's so bulky and huge, but I loved it, it was great. The fact for me, I'm just making sure in my head. Yeah, it was the first console I owned with any kind of internet access, although limited. But, you know, you had Phantasy Star Online, which I know I've spoken about in my last video, but wow, you know, playing that, just chatting to people like about in space, it was awesome. It was so good. And yes, it was very limited and very basic and not great even for its time. I loved it. I know it was the final farewell to Sega, making consoles, and it's still, honestly, for me, it's still sad to this day, growing up with Sega and having them cut short. Very sad. And I think a very underrated console. Absolutely love the Dreamcast. So Dreamcast is number 10. Moving on from that is probably a bit of a shocker for a number 9. But this is me. This is my opinion, my likes, my childhood, who I am now as an adult, and everyone's going to be different. So please don't hate me for this. This is just me. Number 9 is the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. Once again, I didn't know one for years. I was never a PlayStation fan. I played a lot of PlayStation with friends. A lot of my friends had PlayStations, and I always stuck with Sega and Nintendo. It was just always that way. Even a bit further back actually as well, Atari to a certain degree. But yeah, PlayStation just didn't really. There were a couple of games on the original PlayStation, some weird ones as well, but games like Medieval, obviously Crash Bandicoot, Tomb Raider. I'm even trying to think of games, PlayStation games that really come. Resident Evil 2, which I spoke about before. For me, that was actually the main reason for getting a PlayStation, because of Resident Evil 2. But as I say, really for me, PlayStation didn't really do it for me. It didn't do it for me. It hadn't been there when I was a really young growing up, and it just kind of came along. So yeah, it took me a while to get into that one. The only time that I did kind of get into PlayStation, was really start to get into PlayStation and want to own one of their consoles, was rolling quite smoothly into number 8, the PlayStation 2, which I remember one of my friends getting on time on launch day, and I'm pretty sure it was launch, and me and my other friend went back to his house and unboxed it, and I think he came a Tekken Tag tournament here in the UK, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I remember starting it up and just that start screen with the short video. I had never seen anything like that on a home console, on a PC. The visuals, okay, it was video gameplay, it wasn't the actual gameplay. The gameplay was still awesome, don't get me wrong, but that blew my mind. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Ken or something, like flexes, and you could see every bloody tendon in that man's arm. I was just like, did you see that? Wow, just an awesome console. The things it could do at the time, you could play your films on it, and it had internet access, and it just had it all at the time. It's what I wish the Dreamcast had a bit more of, but bless it didn't. But yeah, that made me want a PlayStation. That really did. And if I'm honest, since then, okay, I have owned other PlayStation consoles. In fact, I've owned 3 and 4, but it just not because I thought, whoa, it hasn't been that significant jump for me. It's just upgrades. So yeah, that one. PlayStation 2, Dynasty Warriors on PlayStation 2. I know it's just like a run around hack and slash, but all those many characters on a screen at one time, all those NPCs running at you with swords and stuff, awesome. Love that. Great. So I'll move on from that. Now, I know it's quite low down in the list, but it's only because it's early days. Do not get me wrong. It is my console right now. It absolutely, well, it is. It's the console that I sort of play the most. But it's it's the Wii U. I'm sorry, it's on the list. The Wii U's on the list. I love it at the moment. I'm loving my Wii U. I'm going back. I'm playing through a lot of things on it. It's a cool little console. I honestly love it. For me, at that time when that generation came out of consoles, that was the only one I had for years. If I was going to play a PlayStation or Xbox, it would have been a 360 or a PlayStation 2 or 3. I wasn't really bothered with Nintendo and the Wii U. I know they had like no third-party support, and the capabilities of it were nil. But the first parties were incredible. You can't deny it. Incredible games. I was saying to somebody on Twitter earlier, Xenoblade Chronicles X. I mean, my God, if you haven't played that game, it's such a seamless game. It is insane how good that game looks on the Wii U. We're talking about. So good. I mean, I actually haven't finished that game. It's incredible. It's so good. And there's loads of titles. Zombie U. If you haven't played it, it's a little game. You can pick it up literally for about £2 in CEX in the UK. Go and grab it. Have a laugh. It's just a bit of fun. It's a zombie game. Brilliant fun. Brilliant fun. There's loads of little games on there. It's got so many, just so many wicked little titles on it. And I just think it's a great game. It's a great console, I think, for a family. I know the Wii was all about that, but for me, yeah, it just kind of works. For me and the kids, it's a Nintendo piece of kit. It's durable, and it's built to last, and I love it. So yeah, sorry, but I do. It's on there. So moving on from that, GameCube. Love the GameCube. Got that shortly after launch with Star Wars Rogue Squadron, I think. Pikmin, Luigi's Mansion. I think they were the 3 on launch. I think I got all 3, and yeah. Brilliant little thing. I love carrying it around like my little purple handbag. It's awesome. I don't care what people say. Loved it. Yeah, may not have been the most powerful console at the time, but once again, love the games that are on there. Awesome games. The controller. For me, the controller on the GameCube is, I'm gonna say it is the best controller I've ever played with. I've ever had in my hands. For me personally, it's the most comfortable controller I've ever used. Up until that point, and up until this point now, yeah, I've never held a more comfortable controller that's done what I want it to do when I want to do it. And obviously, when we had the Wavebird, the wireless GameCube controller, that's a beautiful little thing. It really is. If you've never held a GameCube controller, give it a go. They're lovely. Even the little discs. I know people hated them, because they were cheap and whatever, but the little discs, that's cool. That's Nintendo all over, it's ingenuity, it's good fun, so yeah, GameCube deserves to be on that. So we're moving on. I'm going to speed things up. So Sega Mega Drive, it was, I know I rambled on about this many times, but that was the console I had or played on originally as a kid, and there's just too many games to really go through with that. It was just a brilliant console. Opened my eyes to gaming, and it will always be up there for me. It may not be my number 1, but it will always be up there. Loved it. So yeah, well deserved, and I can't thank Sega for bringing that to me as a kid and just opening my eyes to to gaming as a whole. So yeah, moving on from that, you will notice there aren't really any handhelds, sort of. But I will do a separate little video on sort of handhelds and things. So the next one for me is the Switch, which once again I know might be a little bit low down, but once again it's early days. We're only going into year 3 of the Switch. I love it. I bloody love the Switch. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome. The third-party support, Nintendo are selling them like bloody hotcakes. They've stormed it. Bearing in mind, my personal opinion, I think possibly the Switch was a bit rushed, and what we may potentially be getting in the next couple of months, or however long it's going to be, may actually be the original kind of Switch, or NX as it was back in the day, the one that they really wanted. I think that might be what we're getting. But I love it, it's great. I mean, it's Nintendo once again all over. It's the ingenuity, it's a Switch, you can take it with you, you can play it at home, dock to your TV. It's fantastic. A wonderful piece of kit, reasonably priced. Okay, your Joy-Cons may not be the most comfortable thing in the world, but once again, Nintendo will rock out with the Pro Pads, and they're always decent. They're always comfy, especially if you're smashing away at Smash. You need something comfortable, because you can play that for hours. So Switch is in there. A little bit low down, but I'm just giving it time. It's the only reason it's low down, okay? So moving on from that, we go into our top 3. Top 3, we have got Nintendo Entertainment System. Simple reason being is there was a couple of consoles before that I played and owned, and then I kind of backtracked on myself. I didn't even know the NES existed. I honestly thought the Super Nintendo was the first Nintendo console. like home console, as it were, to come out. I was young at the time. So yeah, NES came along after SNES for me. So yeah, I loved it. You know, the back catalogue of games at the time that I had to play through as well, because they were, even back then, when I originally got one, that was, well, N64 time, so we're talking like 1997, 1998. It was dirt cheap, you know, and the back catalogue of games that I got was awesome. Having to play through those, so good, so good. You know, I loved it, but yeah, it was years after, so that's really the only reason that it's number 3. It's a fantastic console, you know, and I appreciate it for where was it, you know, it's when it originally came out, I appreciate that, the games and, you know, how it must have felt at the time, and I kind of wish I had, but hey, yeah, loved it. So yeah, obviously the next step would be the SNES, the Super Nintendo. That is number 2 in my list. Awesome games, and once again, the only reason that's above the NES is because I just played it first. That's the only reason. But there are a few other things. I think for me, the comfortability of the controllers. It's probably a word. Yeah, they were more comfy with the SNES, so that's probably a reason as to why. For me, a lot of the games on the SNES I just found easier to pick up and play. NES games were very tough for me. Still are. There are still a lot of tough NES games out there. But I mean, that's a generation thing, I think. With that, I think 80s into kind of the mid-90s, games were tough, much tougher than they were nowadays. I don't care what people say, they really were. So yeah, Super Nintendo brings back a lot of memories for me, and I absolutely adore it, yeah, and always will do. But the number 1, and we are sticking with the theme of Nintendo, is the N64. Now, the reason being is, as I've said before, it was the first console I ever owned. It has for me, the best game ever made. For me, personally, my opinion. This is not a fact, this is just my opinion. That is a fact that is my opinion, but... yeah, Ocarina of Time is on there, Majora's Mask is on there, GoldenEye's on there, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo-Kazooie, Turok 2, Vigilante 8, which, my god, I need to put something out about Vigilante 8. If you haven't played it, play that. There's so many games. I could literally go on all day with Banjo-Kazooie, and I own a great deal of them. I love my N64. I love it for what it is. The controllers are so comfortable. They are so comfortable. Yeah, they're a bit big, and yeah, you kind of got to hold your hands a bit weird sometimes in some games. But on the whole, you can relax into an N64 controller, I find. Some of the greatest games, and this kind of is fact to a degree, but check it out online, some of the best games ever made are on the N64, ratings-wise, are on the N64. I'm not talking about the graphics. People are like, oh, it looks terrible now. Yes, it may do. But some of the best games ever made are on the N64. It is an incredible console. I know I've said this before, but I mean it. If you don't own one, go and pick one up. They don't cost a lot. Get a handful of games and just crack on. Get your mates round, get some 4-player on the go. It's awesome. For me, it might change one day, who knows, you know, but at this time in my life, and since I was probably about 12, that has been my go-to console, and yeah, for the foreseeable, always will be. I love my N64, I really do. And really, for me, just to sort of round this whole video up, if it wasn't for my Mega Drive and my N64, I probably wouldn't be the guy I am today, and I probably wouldn't be doing this video, if I'm honest, if I hadn't had my eyes open to those huge companies. So yeah, that's big shout out to them basically. But anyway, I'm blabbing. I said I wouldn't, and I've nearly gone on for 20 minutes here. So I shut up. So thank you very much, guys, for listening to me ramble on once again. I really, really, really appreciate it. I honestly do. If you guys have liked this video, then please click that thumbs up button. It really does help. If you haven't already subscribed, then please do so. I promise I'm not always this annoying. I do promise you. So yeah, and obviously don't forget to ding that bell on the way down so you're notified every single time my videos go live on YouTube. We should have some news, I'm hoping, at some point this week, which I'll go into in a bit more detail in another video. But yeah, thank you so much for your time once again, guys and girls. Take care, all the best. Bye now.